Welcome back to Haze, and now it's time to enter the facility.
Okay,
where
so
supposedly Skincoat is residing on.
All right, so I understand that he's wearing a mask, but those borders are actually bothering me.
Yeah,
this game does not have a good interface.
If it's any consolation, Dej, starting with I think either the next part or the one after, we will stop wearing this helmet. So there's that. It's kind of funny. It reminds me of being instead of Dark Void, where getting the helmet only slightly changed your HUD.
It's like if you were playing Doom
in
2016 and Doom Guy had to do the same thing. It's like when he puts on the helmet.
What do I teach you boys? An empty hand is just a grip away from holding a gun. So? You gotta take them down before they can pick it up.
Great. Boom!
Okay, honestly,
This is stupid.
I know, right?
They're not even being...
First word, Dej.
It's not even like the Ninja Turtles or anything.
Yes, like...
They're not even being clever about it, really. Like, again, if they're trying to be quote-unquote covert with the hidden message, then it's kind of obvious from the get-go, seeing as how the story has practically brought it up, and that they're trying to immerse us into this world.
Oh, shit. Something is malfunctioning.
Oh, God.
Well, the game.
Look at all these bodies.
No, in-universe lives.
These bodies, they're rendered horribly. In fact, one of those bodies is literally...
Why is everything black and white?
Oh my god, it's like that bit in Sonic 06.
Oh my god,
to show that war is black and white.
Oh, here we go. No, also, again, it showcases the fact that the nectar system is not exactly working as intended for you.
Oh no. Anyway, one of those bodies was literally floating above the desk it was supposedly lying
Don't you see, Java? They float. They all float.
Well, at least
I love how you just invoked a meme just a second ago, Joe, but the whole oh no.
Well, anyway. Yes,
well, at least there's a reason, I guess, like Theo said. I have yet to realize why the hell Sonic 06 goes black and white in that moment.
Dramatic effect.
But no, that's the thing. No, that's the thing, Theo. It's not a dramatic moment. It's just.
No, it's like a lot of animes actually do that when a character is reflecting like that. The problem with those 6, I think I did mention for the comment, but in case the problem is, 6 is that correctly that is the only moment where that happens. The only in the entire game.
Not just that, Theo.
It should be more recurring.
Not just that, Theo.
Theo's right though. Loads of anime do that.
In that case, I'm gonna question it even in those animes, because okay, yes, I'm not saying you can't do that kind of thing, but I feel like, okay, I'm assuming the context that those animes do it is similar to how 06 does it. But
it's kind of symbolizing that it's almost as if time stops in order for the character to reflect upon what has happened or what is about to happen.
While I can understand that logic, I still think it distracts, to be honest with you. You're sitting there. I feel like there should be a stronger reason for going black and white rather than just, oh, you want to emphasize the drama of the scene.
Well, okay. To be fair, if there's one thing I've learned in media study, it's like, well, sometimes a drastic change in color does evoke certain emotions here and there. That's normally the idea with changing stuff black and white. It's to give the viewer a certain change here and there. Now, sure, maybe that doesn't fly for everyone, but it does fly for enough people that I can see why studios do it.
Sudden desaturation and a transition to black and white, it tends to indicate a more seriousness towards what the scene is going for. You know.
Let me use. Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
Go on.
Let me use Memento as an example. Like the black and white scenes in Memento are supposed to be the reflective scenes where Lenny is talking entirely to himself, so it's a moment of self-reflection, and it helps create a more intimate atmosphere during those scenes. Without spoiling anything, Ghost of Tsushima also uses that, and specifically to surprise you in the same way that the characters are being surprised when it happens. So I can understand when in those contexts I feel like a character is asking Mephiles, who is he? And then suddenly black and white. I don't know. I feel like the reason in that scene was not strong enough.
The thing in the detail, the problem with the detail, in the fact that it should have been done better, is of course something that I agree on. But I still get the thought process behind it.
Sure. I just think
Yeah.
06. I just don't think. I just don't think that scene called for a black and white moment.
Blood on my hands. What does this mean, guys?
I wonder.
That's one of the things that was said with every review of this game tended to have, not just like one of them. Everyone said any plot twist message or moral that this game is trying to have gets dropped on top of you with the subtlety of an anvil or a wash basin on your head right from the beginning. There's no real not in a sense of tension. There's no real mystery or pondering about the morality. From the get-go that your faction is a bunch of assholes, that nectar is a drug that is bad for you, that the terrorists are the good guys in reality, and that you probably either die or defect towards them. But again, the game doesn't know how to foreshadow, nor how to build up, nor how to, conserve potential plot twists or moral ambiguity. Like, for as much as also ambitious it is, Spec Ops: The Line is a much better written game on this regard.
I was actually gonna bring up that game when you were done. Like, basically, imagine if Spec Ops: The Line constantly, and I do mean constantly, was practically screaming at you about that scene in particular.
And keep in mind, Spec Ops: The Line is still already an acquired taste on its own because of the things that it treats and the fact that, according to many people, it's still a bit too ambitious. This one is that times 10 at the very least.
Although, it's not infuriating like Last of Us 2. It's just
Jesus
loud.
Christ! I was waiting for it.
What?
I knew he was gonna mention it. I was like, wow, I'm impressed. He hasn't mentioned it yet. I was like, nope.
I mean, it's just a comparison.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Okay, actually, that's talking a bit. One weapon that the terrorist faction tends to use is a nectar grenade. Now, well, nectar is good for you. Why they try to do that? Well, because it causes an overdose to every one hit, which means that your HUD gets screwed up and you may accidentally team kill as a result. Which is, again, a neat mechanic, but like Jova said also in the previous part, is part of that package that Ubisoft essentially constantly greenlit for the team and forced for the team to do. Because instead of imposing potential restriction, they thought of a process of being yes men, and instead in forcing the team to pile up things to separate the two factions properly. A thought process that I would agree on, but I also agree that it should have been refined after polishing the game first.
Like, here's my stance on adding extra stuff. Sure, you think extra stuff on the table sounds cool. But it's not a cool idea when all that extra stuff comes at to the detriment of, actually making sure that the game runs properly. It's sort of like Crash Team Racing Nitro Field. Oh, don't get me wrong. I love all the content we got in that game, but I hate that time was wasted on that content instead of fixing the problems with that game.
Also, Dej, in case you forgot, actually you don't know because I mentioned this in the first part, you might have noticed also, no, I'm not using the 6-axis, fuck you game. You might have noticed, Dej, the fact that the terrorist faction keeps repeating constantly the same 2-3 lines all the fucking time.
Kind of breaks immersion, don't it?
Okay, I'm not usually a believer of that 100% of the time, but it's still annoying regardless. And it is very distracting. Oh, also, another thing that I forgot. One thing that they did kept from Halo in order to be the Halo killer, whatever the hell that means, was carrying only
about to ask.
Was carrying only 2 weapons at a time, other than grenades. It's a practice that he still don't understand, because Doom paved the way of a simple menu system where you can carry all set of weapons that you can and switching between them at will. Like, what really is wrong with that for a single player experience? I get it that it's unbalanced potentially for multiplayer purpose, but for the actual story, I actually would prefer if characters could actually have actual accessibility to the set of weapons that the game can provide. Sure, still pick them up one by one. Don't start with everything. Let the player earn them, but let the player keep them instead of forcing them to choose only two and a constant place. And especially since the game clearly is balanced towards having some weapons being more effective than others. For instance, the flamethrowers. The flamethrowers are a bitch because they set on fire constantly, and your only way to shaking off the fire faster way is to use the fucking 6 axes, which I'm not gonna do that. And by the way, this was still.
Wait, I need to know, how is the 6 axes? Like, is it like playing Splatoon with gyro controls, or?
Okay, Dej, imagine the Sony, the typical Sony PlayStation controller. Now imagine that you have to hold it with both hands and actually rotate it in a spherical way in order to simulate the gyro controls. That's what the 6 axis is. Depending on the game, the response will be better or non-existent.
Okay,
So-
Dez, let me put it like this. The 6-axis controls managed to kill an entire game franchise. They're that bad.
Okay, not just that. Let me mention in a second. Like I said, the flamethrower is completely broken, especially when it's used against you, because in true gaming tradition, the computer is a cheating bastard. When you use it, the enemies either don't get damaged, that much, or they recover immediately, which is inhuman as a thing to do. So again, this whole package contributes, to a not fun experience with the game. Once again, I get it it's for multiplayer purpose, but can't you really find a way to fix that? But whatever, I'll continue potentially later. Go on, Dej.
Yeah. So I need. You mentioned this was a Halo killer.
It was actually.
Okay.
Supposedly.
Jova mentioned it in the previous part. Ubisoft marketed the shit out of this using the buzzword term Halo Killer, even though the dev team wanted nothing to do again with it.
And that's the thing. The dev team were not really planning on this being a Halo killer, hence the fact that this game doesn't really play like Halo, or at least initially it wasn't supposed to play like Halo.
Oh shit. Well, I can't use my nectar for this one, so let's move on. For these sequences where your nectar gets disrupted, you can't actually use it, so it's a cheeky way for the game to having you not recover health properly. So that I can actually find it cute, gameplay and story integration in a decent way. The problem is that, aside from that, visually not much change. Remember, we're technically not having nectar this time, so we should actually be able to see the horrors of war. But it doesn't really change much. Bodies still lay on the ground and have only a bit of blood on them. But go on, Jova, sorry.
Basically, just to answer your question from earlier, one of the franchises that the 6-axis controls killed was Lair.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have no connection to that. And
it was done by a team that was making Star Wars flying games. Forgot specifically which ones. And they wanted to do it about flying dragon combat. It's not like Panzer Dragoon, but instead, having a mix between dragon riding and Dynasty Warriors type games where you decimate armies with your dragon as well. But then Sony intervened and forced the motion controls on the team, and despite them begging Sony to actually give the option to use traditional controls to the player, not even remove the 6-axis, but give the option, the Sony refused to do that and only allowed a patch to be done a couple of months after release, after the damage was done. Not to mention, sadly, Lair, even at launch and even with the patches, Lair had the problem of running with a terrible performance because the PS3 was really hard to work with.
Oh, but it gets even better. Sony, in their infinite wisdom, when people rightfully gave Lair the last net it deserved, gave its detractors guides, implying that they were too stupid to understand how to properly control it.
Was that during those really rough early years of the PS3?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
It's the same. It's the same reason. While not completely plagued by the 6-axis, Heavenly Sword is also plagued by terrible performance. That's also I keep saying that among the initial line of a PS3, Heavenly Sword is the game that will benefit much more of a remaster these days, just for a more fluid type of performance, and for the sake of showcasing it again to others who might be interested in. But with Ninja Theory working strictly for Microsoft these days, unless Sony hires another team like, say, Bluepoint, to do it, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
To sum up the six-axis controls, Dad, let me put it like this. The Wii, for the most part, would
this actually is a bitch, by the way, but go on, sorry.
Okay, Dad, you know how fickle the Wii's controls could be? Multiply that fickleness by 10, make them incredibly unresponsive, and then make them shoehorned into games that aren't even made around them. Like, at least the Wii games were made around Wii controls. That's the six-axis controls. It's like the equivalent of your drunk uncle kicking down your door into a party where he's clearly not invited and ruining the experience for everyone.
The only game that made good use of it was Flower. By that game, the game for the makers of Journey.
Did Flow also use it?
No, Flow didn't use it.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, Flower had to be made for the six-axis in mind as well.
It was made for the six-axis with six in mind. Fortunately, the gyro controls in the DualSense work a lot better in comparison to the early to the six-axis stuff.
Yeah.
So to go on this Halo killer tangent.
Go on, Dad.
You guys remember the Conduit?
I remember hearing.
I remember hearing about it.
That was cited as a Halo killer, and the only reason why anyone cared about it was because it looked like a competent FPS game made on the Wii, even though it's still mediocre as hell.
So it's dead now, isn't it?
Oh my god! Can I tell you about the ending for the second game?
Sure.
Oh, is that a sequel?
Yeah, it basically ends with you realizing that John Adams, the president of the United States, is evil. It's an evil alien. You stop him. You stop his plans, but then comes a portal of two guys in armor. They reveal themselves. It's George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Said, "We're here to help."
Okay, is that
okay?
More or less subtle than? Okay, is that more or less subtle than the Kingsman 2?
Worse.
Okay. Please tell me that in context that is as awesome as I would hope it would to be.
Is that franchise a series that involves time travel?
More like the an American Illuminati stuff, conspiracy theory.
Oh, okay. Can you at least tell me that the time-traveling George Washington and Abraham Lincoln are...
They're not time travelers. It's supposed to be implied that they're aliens.
Oh, man.
So America was founded by aliens.
Of course it was.
Oh, my
of course.
God. No.
Okay, now we need to definitely see this on capacity.
Yep. Thanks, Dad. You may have just helped us find some future commentating material.
Oh, no.
Is it like...
Hashtag thanks, Deji.
Apparently, aside from the mobile port of the first game, the two games were actually published by Sega. Do we still own this IP?
So in terms of epically absurd plots in media, that's almost on par with Geostorm's plot, where he has to try and shut down this crazy weather machine while saving the President of the United States.
Okay, to be fair, Glibs, in terms of absurd premise in that kind of sense, Metal Wolf Chaos is even better, because it's literally the President of the United States in a badass Gundam-like mech suit fighting evil terrorists that have invaded America, so there's that.
Awesome.
Well,
and it was done by From Software, believe it or not.
Well, hey, I'll talk about leading from the front.
Anyway, so basically, Dad, the games you're talking about, they're called the Conduit, right?
Yes. Only had 2 games, ends on a cliffhanger, never to be resolved.
Oh!
Perfect.
great. Cliffhanger endings, because, you know, it's always wise to do that when you don't
yes,
know
Jova,
for sure if you're getting a
cliffhanger
sequel.
endings are tight.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
why the ending is hilarious. It's like, what?
That sounds a bit like Dark Void, you know? Aliens, historical figures, stupid cliffhanger ending, failed franchise.
Honestly, I haven't seen anything about these two titles yet, but they sound much more awesome than whatever, Illuminati style plot.
Oh my God,
I
the
mean,
conduit-
gameplay wise, it kind of feels like Haze from what
Oh my
I'm seeing compared to.
Oh my God, the
Okay.
conduit was revealed in 2008, the same year that this game was released.
To be fair,
Again,
to be fair, Jova, this game was actually delayed to 2008. The original release date was supposed to be 2007.
So let's see, High Voltage Software. I've not heard of that.
I
company
actually have
before.
heard them, but
Oh, they did Lego Racers.
Apparently, they were supposed to collaborate with Nintendo on a shooter game, but I think someone broke an NDA, and then the project got
we're still
canceled.
technically doing stuff these
Oh
days. So
my God! Their first game was made in 1995, and it's called White Men Can't Jump.
apparently, that's something.
It's a Wesley
Appa-
Snipes movie.
Apparently it's based on a movie. I really don't want to see that.
Tempting. very tempting.
sorta showdown, because the team has actually found Skincoat, but we need to get to the other side of the place. But again, it only translates to shoot more humans. Hooray.
Boy, Tio, this filter isn't getting annoying at all.
To be fair, Jova, like you said, either at the end of this part, actually, no, starting from the next part, we're not gonna have it anymore.
Well, I get it. It's just
Though
okay.
it's still present if you decide to be on this side for the multiplayer.
Now I'll say this: I get why they're doing it story-wise, but it looks terrible because of how awfully rendered the game
Also,
is.
the bloom effect as well. I like the fact that the integration allows you essentially to highlight what the enemies are. It's a cool, neat idea that does work for a first-person shooter, and it is kind of a prototype of, say, like the detective mode from Batman Arkham Asylum that will be released a couple of years later. But the problem is that, like Jova said, the combination of a bloom effect and the other filters in general makes the experience as such nausea-inducing.
Boy, High Voltage Software have actually done a lot from.
They're still doing stuff these days, Jova.
They did stuff from the 50-cent Bulletproof game to Iron Man 2 to Mortal Kombat X.
Specifically the Wii versions of Jova. Also,
No.
you might be interested.
Actually, Tio, this is the Microsoft Windows version of.
I was talking about Iron Man 2, but Wii and PSP. But you might be interested in the fact that they did the Haunted Mansion video game. Apparently, probably based on the movie's same name.
Oh, hey, Dwibs. Dwibs, they made a game called Enter the Dominatrix.
Ha.
Oh.
Ha. Ha.
Oh, they worked on the PS4 and Xbox One port, so
No, it's
Yeah.
right.
it's kind of similar how, if I remember correctly, the Switch version of Mortal Kombat 11 was made by Just Games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
problem-
gotta love the name for that studio. Just
Voice.
Games. Just Games.
Well, it's interesting. The PC version of the High Voltage Studios as the guy who did the PC version of Mortal Kombat X, and that was infamous for being terrible at launch, and they had to wait for a long time before actually patching it properly.
They also,
Yes, Mr. Terrorist, I heard that phrase already so many goddamn times. Jesus.
Jesus.
Is that your job? Really annoying me
Oh
to
my
death?
God. I love how that guy was literally running into the fence, not even trying to get you. AI programming. What the hell is that?
AI
All right,
programming
let's
is
do this
too.
again. Go on.
AI programming is too hard, Jova.
Again with this shit.
Well, since
You know-
this is an Ubisoft game, it's apparently not as hard as programming playable female characters.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's also another thing. I honestly don't remember. Maybe some of them
Yeah.
show up later, but I don't think there's a single female character in this game.
Wait. Hold.
Okay.
Well,
because
Tail.
there's no female characters
No,
in the
no,
game.
no.
that
Yeah, I
doesn't
was about to
include
mention it.
substrate.
I want to mention it with like depending on the context, it can just work having a one gender type of game. Game with only one gender of people in it. It's just that it feels a bit odd that this corporation, both the corporation and the terrorists, would employ, literally not to potentially every resource they can. But keep in mind, I could still be wrong because it's been actually a while since I recorded this.
That's the thing.
in
I
terms
think
of-
I have. Hold on, let me finish, Dribs. I think I have noticed actually some models that are actually female, just that all the voices that we've heard have been male. Let's do this.
Animina now. Thank you.
There we go.
Reminder that this guy is voiced by the guy who was the narrator of Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Beautiful.
Kirby's Epic Yarn?
Yes.
Yep.
Shut up!
Wow, what a jump in quality.
Like you.
To be fair, this was done before that.
Like he's taking charge to me.
Yeah.
This is a strange.
But Epic Yarn is considered to be.
Can you stop shaking the fucking camera?
Don't you see, Tio? It's to make you feel like you're
looks like-
actually there.
He looks like the old guy at the beginning of the Walking Dead game.
Is there propaganda that's
Which one?
The taxi driver.
down without
Okay. Oh, the Telltale version. Okay.
that I eat people? That I wear the skins as a coat? You like it? 100% coat.
Wait, you're telling me that the terrorist leader is not a bad guy?
No, it's not like the game was beating me over the head with the message beforehand.
If your warriors don't have confidence in their cause,
Like, even the music seems to be cueing in that this guy is really a good guy.
stories about your enemies to make you hate them. To give you
Yes, Jova, they tell you that
Wait.
terrorists are bad in order to make you fight them. My
Oh
God.
my god.
This is exceptionally stupid.
two sides.
Okay, seriously, Ubisoft, just get a vlog already.
Oof.
Elevator. Hold its arm.
And you're not joining the same elevator because...
Oh man, this is gonna be bad for you. You speak American?
Ah, very subtle.
Oh, man.
By the principles of our Lord God. You know what?
Oh, and of course they're religious too. Let's just throw in all the quirks.
It means if you take something from me, then I have a right to take something from you.
That's cute, but we don't use that anymore, Mr. Duvall.
So if you don't mind, I'm gonna
That's not very.
Why? Why the finger? It's so specific.
How gruesome.
No, we don't really see anything. Again, this is not this is not the scene of waterboarding GTA 5. We don't see anything.
take him to the dropship.
But Tio, he said it, and we heard it. How horrible!
Ah.
Ugh. Well, that
Commit the
happened.
game. If you want to showcase to me the horrors of a war, show me mutilated bodies left and right, not just corpses, random corpses. Like Final Fantasy Type 0 could get away with probably more emaciated people and added a PEGI 16 rating.
Oh wait, Tio, don't you see the nectar probably kept him from seeing it all in full detail?
No, that's a problem. We were still oh yes, I can still die by that. We were in that section where we were not Vietnamese for some reason.
What? Did you forget something?
You should
point.
run. They know you're not like them.
Oof.
Purpose.
Carpenter, get aboard now. That's an order.
Isn't technically your same rank? Okay, Jova,
Guy that made you captain.
what's actually the priority? There are two people of the same rank leading the same team.
Usually whoever is in charge appoints them as the leader of the squad.
Like, for example, both this guy and our protagonist are technically surgeons, while the other two are simple recruits. So I don't know how it works.
Like I said, if he was given like
Oh man, the writing just keeps getting better and better.
if he was given like priority charge by his group leader or like whoever's in charge of the organization, then he would be the one in charge. Otherwise, yeah, he couldn't really order him around as much.
You know, sir, what you said. It's true.
I know, right, Dej? Isn't this the best thing you ever seen?
This
You know,
feels
I have
like.
a lot of questions, right?
Oh, well, how much do you
Go
think
on.
you took? Maybe a couple of
Unfortunately, I
handfuls.
can't really articulate them because, well, that's the problem. There's too many.
Start with one.
Why?
Typical.
Because Ubisoft thought that pushing the envelope would be the way to get noticed.
What's going on back there?
Oh shit!
Oh, fuck.
Watch out!
Oh,
You're gonna
God.
crash! Ah!
Well done. Your faux machoism has caused this shit to happen.
What is this?
Well,
Anyway,
we'll see the outcome in the next part. But
Oh.
yes, Libs.
I was just gonna say that whole weird comment Ubisoft made about not being able to program women. It's like they forgot. It's like they forgot Metroid in the mid-80s, or if they wanted a more relevant example, Tomb Raider in 1996.
But whatever, we'll see what happened at the crash site in the next part. See ya.
See ya.
Then.
See ya.
Aren't we?
See ya.